Hey there guys, Jesse here from Sweet Academy with another language breakdown. And today we're going to break down one of the greatest movie series of all time. And don't even pretend like it's not. We are going to break down one of the most iconic motivational speeches that is in movies. And we're talking about Rocky, and this one's actually from Rocky Balboa. So it's not the original. There are so many motivational speeches from Rocky. Today we're talking about the Rocky Balboa one when he's talking to his son. We're looking at the scene it's called Rocky Balboa with his son because his son is an adult at this point. A little background information. His son is an adult at this point, and he's dealing with a shadow of his father. We say in English, you're living under somebody's shadow when somebody else is highly recognized, very famous, very well known, is a giant figure in an industry, for example. And if you're in that same industry, you're living under their shadow. So, by example, Tim Cook in Apple is probably living under the shadow of Steve Jobs, right? He's trying to continue the legacy, but people are comparing him with Steve Jobs, of course. So a lot of sons who go in the same industry as their fathers, if their father's great, they're living under the shadow. And his son is living under the shadow of his father's name. Not that he's trying to be a boxer, but in the area in Philadelphia. So anyway, Rocky has this fight as an older man, and his son's kind of getting embarrassed by it, and he's asking him in this scene not to do it. And we're going to pick up there in the scene. So let's go. Let's watch it. Rocky Balboa, this scene. We're going to learn some expressions. Mostly we're going to learn some vocabulary and be able to break apart Rocky's accent, because he doesn't have the most clear accent for language learners, right? So we're going to take apart some colloquial terms, some vocabulary, and hopefully help your general listening. So let's go. Let's take a look.
So you nervous about the fight?
They're scared to death.
You don't look scared?
Well, you ain't supposed to.
Then you don't have to do it.
Let's stop there right away. He said, "Are you nervous about the fight?" Did you catch what Rocky said? "I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death."
So you nervous about the fight?
They're scared to death.
Scared to death.
So you nervous about the fight?
They're scared to death.
You don't look scared?
Well, you ain't supposed to.
Then you don't have to do it.
Yeah, well, I think I do.
Yeah, well, I think I do. You don't have to do it. Yeah, well, I think I do. A little fluency builders there, right? Yeah, well. Like if you're kind of disagreeing, yeah, well, this is life. That's life.
You know, living with you, it hasn't been easy. People see me, but they think of you. Now with all this going on, this is going to be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure it does.
Why? You got a lot going on, kid.
Oh, what, my last name? That's the reason I got a decent job. That's the reason why people deal with me in the first place. Now I start to get a little ahead. I start to get a little something for myself. And this happens.
He's talking about living under a shadow, right? What with my last name?
That's the reason I got... Sure it does. Now with all this going on, this is going to be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure it...
Now with all this going on,
It hasn't been easy. People see me,
but they think of you. That's living under the shadow.
Now with all this going on, this is going to be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure.
Be careful. And I think right now is a good time to tell you there are some things in English, and I tell this to my students, and I think not enough teachers identify this. There are vocabulary words, expressions, and idioms that are good to know, to understand, and there are some that are good to know, to use, right? Take, for example, the word ain't, right? I ain't your mama, right? That's in all the songs, right? Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. So ain't, the word ain't, and you'll hear that a lot here. The word ain't means is not, are not, do not, does not. That's an example of something that's good to learn, to know, so you can understand things like this and like those songs. But it's not really good to say because it makes you sound uneducated, but it's a kind of dialect, right? So it's good to know, but it's not good to use. And then there are other expressions that are good to know and to use, right? Like a fluency builder, you see, or you know, or yeah, well, those are good to learn. Those little details are good to know, to learn, and to use. In fact, his son here in the beginning said,
You know, living with you,
there it is. You know, he's about to say something and he wants to, it kind of transitions into what you're going to say. It's a nice, what I call fluency builder. And managing fluency builders will take your fluency, it will make good speakers sound very good. It'll make very good English speakers sound great.
you know, living with you, it hasn't been easy. People see me, but they think of you. Now with all this going on, this is gonna be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure it does.
Why?
That's it. It don't have to be. That's an example. It's wrong grammar, but people say it, especially in Philly, New York, things like that, New Jersey. It don't have to be. It doesn't have to be, right?
You got a lot going on, kid.
Oh, what, my last name? That's the reason I got a decent job. That's the reason why people deal with me in the first place. Now I start to get a little ahead. I start to get a little something for myself, and this happens. Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this, okay? This is only gonna end up bad for you, and it's gonna end up bad for me.
I'm asking you as a favor, don't go through with this. To go through, there's a phrasal verb. Don't go through with this. Don't do this. You could say don't do this, but if you add the phrasal verb, don't go through with this. Don't complete this. Don't do this. Don't go through with this. It's only going to end up, another phrasal verb. They're everywhere. It's only going to end up bad for you and for me. Let's listen to that again.
Not to go through with this, okay? This is only gonna end up bad. Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this, okay? This is only gonna end up bad for you, and it's gonna end up bad for me.
To end up bad for you and end up bad for me. Notice the blending sounds. We don't say end up. We say end up. End up. It's only going to end up bad for you, and it's only going to end up bad for me.
Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this, okay? This is only gonna end up bad for you, and it's gonna end up bad for me.
You think I'm hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are.
It's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
I know that's not what you want to do, but that's just the way that it is. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke and that I'm gonna be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
Here comes the part. That was all build up, right? That was all background. That was all, there's some valuable language to learn as we've looked at, but that was all build up. Get ready to be motivated and go out and take on the world. Just to let you know.
You ain't gonna believe this. Well, you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world.
A little grammar. I'd hold you up. I'd hold you up. That past tense would. I would hold you up, meaning like a habit in the past, something that was a habit that was in the past. It's kind of like if you're familiar with used to. Used to. I used to go to the beach when I was younger. I used to live in South Korea. I used to. But would take that and look at the details, right? When I was in South Korea, I would go to the beach there. I would teach private lessons. I would, whatever, right? I would. These are talking about details of a past experience. But he shortened it. I'd hold you up. I would plus verb.
You ain't gonna believe this. But you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line,
Let's stop there.
come for you to be.
Time
It
come.
was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own.
Then the time come. It really matter. Proper grammar. The time came for you to. The time came for you to. Again, the dialect, the accent, the word choice. Accent and dialect is more than just how you say a word. It's also the word choice. The time come, really, if you're going to use it, the time came for you to verb. The time came for you to verb. But know that some people say this, the time come for you to, the time come for you to, the time come for you to.
Man and take on the world. Day was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame.
You started looking. We've looked at this grammar before. You started looking. The started in the past tense, looking, the continuous. Or started, I guess it would be the gerund. You started looking, you started doing, started plus ing. And you started looking for someone to blame. To blame is saying it's somebody else's fault.
You started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, go.
Let's stop there. I wanted to play that all together to give you that. But there is a lot of language in there.
And if you, and I don't care how tough you are, it goes.
Life ain't all sunshine and rainbows. There goes that ain't.
It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it.
It will beat you to your knees. It will beat you to your knees. Beat is, well, beat means defeat or to win against somebody. It can mean like to win in a football match, right? You beat, Barcelona beat Real Madrid. Does that happen? I'm not really a football fan. Probably. Barcelona's pretty good, right? But it'll beat you. It also means beat, like hit. It'll beat you to, like if a fighter beats another fighter, right? It'll beat up.
If you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life.
You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. Again, not grammar to follow, but it's important, especially for more advanced speakers, to be able to understand poor grammar because, I mean, probably in your language too, people speak with poor grammar, right? People in our natural conversations, especially when we talk in our home dialect, wherever you're from. I mean, here in Seville, in Sevilla, in Spain, they have their own dialect that's strong and thick. We don't speak correctly, but it's important to be able to understand people, even if they don't speak like they do in English textbooks. That's what we're doing here.
But you, me, or no will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
How much you can take and keep moving forward.
That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits.
You've got to be willing to take the hits. You've got to be willing to take the hits. And notice he cuts off that G. Willing to. You've got to be willing. You've got to be willing to. You've got to be willing to take the hits. You've got to be willing to take the hits in textbook. People don't talk like textbook, do we?
And not pointing fingers saying, go out and get what you're worth. It's done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Cowards do that, and that ain't you.
The hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where.
Not pointing fingers, meaning not blaming, right? Not pointing fingers at him or me or you or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. That's not you.
Where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always going to love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't going to have a life.
Until you start believing in yourself. Until you start believing in yourself, you ain't going to have a life. How do we say that properly? Until you start believing in yourself, you're not going to have a life.
But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't going to have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
Don't forget to go visit your mother. And that was the scene in Rocky Balboa. I'm sure you've seen it. If not, then go watch it. I will put the link to this original video in the description box so you can watch the whole thing and then go to the gym and work out or go crush today or go recruit some clients or go study more English and improve your English. Go kill that exam. Go do whatever it is that you have to do, but use this. Go out and get it done. And that's all that I have to say about that. These are some expressions, some pronunciation, some ways to help your listening in English. That's it. I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, I'm sitting here with my daughter, Sophia. She's recording this, and I just want to thank you for watching this video. If you like it and you want to see another video like it, then right next to me, you can click another video for a fun lesson idea or a teaching tip. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you get new videos every week.